My friend, do you find yourself sometimes just exhausted, unable to focus on the things you gotta be doing through the day, feeling like at odds with different parts of you, like something just doesn't sit right, like something is out of balance, and you're unable to even enjoy the things that you know you love, just doing things that truly just are fun for you, or maybe just speak to your heart, or just feeling alive and being with people that you care about and love the most, and feeling like your life has a purpose and you know you belong. This is your right, my friend. And the things that you've been through, sometimes they just prevent us from feeling in this way. And I really believe that what happens is we end up kind of trying to contain the hurt, just keep it all in, and we want to stop it from doing more damage or letting it show. And we spend so much of our energy, just so much of our just precious time just trying to keep it in so that other people don't see, so that you don't end up feeling the depth of your experience. So today, my friend, I want to talk about how do we let go? How do we let go of things in such a greater way that helps us to get the depth of our experience? So that helps you to live the life that you truly deserve, so that you can feel more excited, you feel more alive, but just feel better about yourself and the world around you. So that you feel like you are really moving forward in your journey towards healing. That's what we talk about today. My name is Joe Bakhmutsky, and I'm just here to speak from my experience. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a professional mental health expert, but I want to share some of the things that I've learned from my experience. And my experience of dealing with trauma goes way back, for more than 3 decades. And there's multiple things that, came up for me, that may have happened to you as well, whether they may or may have not. But I want to share what I've learned, what helped me, what's helping me now on my healing journey, and I hope that it serves and supports you in some way. I think it's so vital that we find more ways, and I had here a different perspective about letting out in a healthy way the things that have built up, the things that got in the way, that are interrupting your life, or have been interrupting your life, or might be interrupting your life in somewhere in the future. It's so vital that we get to do that together. As trauma survivors, that's why I'm honored for you being here, for being present in this moment right now, for taking the time to listen to something that will give you a different perspective into your own experience in life and the things that you've lived through. I champion you, and I honor your feeling. I honor where you're at, where you've been, and where you're going. My name is Joe Bakhmutsky. I'm a proud author of Finding Hope in Times of Uncertainty, a guide to thriving in the challenging world of today. And I really believe that we are capable of so much more than we think. Especially us as trauma survivors, we're capable of so much more than we think when it comes to our ability to give our best, because we get so much to give it and we forget, to grow into the life that we want, the life that we desire, feeling more alive and more present, feeling you belong, but also in our ability to heal. I think we underestimate how much we can heal, because sometimes we think, or maybe we're even told, that we're no good, that we're broken. that things can only get worse. That is false. If you've ever been told that or felt that about yourself, I want you to know that that isn't true. You deserve to be happy. That's what it's about, isn't it? Life is still about being happy. That is exactly what you deserve, my friend. I'm here for you. I got you. And I'm grateful that you're here. I'm grateful that you're looking for ways to live a better life on your terms in the way that it means for you. And letting go of things, letting things out, will free you to have so much more energy in doing the things that you love, things that matter, or figuring out the things that truly matter right now. Because sometimes we don't even know what is, like, we gotta lose touch with that sense of purpose, of with belonging, what really matters. Well, we get that freedom to find out, to immerse ourselves in exploring and finding out something new. That's what healing gives us. And I want to share some thoughts around that. But I want to first of all speak to the impact of trauma, because I think it's so vital. Because we often sometimes think of difficult events in our life, but we don't always consider the impact that it has had on our day-to-day life, on our relationships, on the way that you see yourself, and that is vital. Because I want to take like a moment to consider, what has trauma prevented you from doing? Like, how has it manifested itself in your life? Because when we can get a little bit of clarity around that, that can help us to understand that we want to really move away from that and find more ways to get it out of yourself, but also understand our own experience and where you've been and where you're going. So I want to share a quick way of looking at this that I find helpful. And I call it the impact quad. And this is just a way that I think about the impact that trauma has had on our life. And I believe there's really two things that come up for us. So one is kind of the scale of the impact that it's had, and how the difficult struggles, events have on our life, how they might be interrupting the flow of the life that you have. So that's kind of the impact, but also time. How does it happen over time? And I think we sometimes don't stop to look at that. I mean, because we try not to think about it, right? We try to just close off from all of that. But in doing that, we're also denying ourselves of understanding the true depth of what you have been through, of what you have overcome, of what you are capable of. I mean, not giving ourselves the credit that we truly deserve. Have you been harsh on yourself? Have you been dismissive of yourself? Have you been blaming yourself? Because we all do that sometimes. As trauma survivors, we are our own harshest critics sometimes. How unfair is that? With that, my friend, let's talk about the impact quad. And I want to talk about 4 dimensions that happen over when we talk about the impact of trauma on our lives, but also the time, how it changes over time. And the first one is the impact that can be seen, that we see in our lives. And when I mean see, I mean it's something that could be verified, something that you know has happened. You know, you've seen the impact of that on your daily life. You know, for me, going through rape as a child, the impact that I know I have witnessed and seen in my life was like I couldn't have sex. Like I wanted to, but when I was like in an intimate situation, I couldn't bring myself to it. Like physically, I couldn't. I couldn't get an erection, even if I wanted to. And that was so difficult. Even though it's on, and sometimes I never even connected that first of all to, to that story. But that is the impact that I have seen in my own life, which has been pretty dramatic. So what has been the impact that you have actually seen in your life that has been, clear and obvious in how things have happened? Seen. That's the first one. The second one is felt. Sometimes other people don't see it, and maybe there isn't a clear way to kind of point to something happening in your life, but you felt negative, difficult emotions around it. You felt hurt, you felt upset, you felt frustrated, you felt angry. Like for me, it was I was going through cancer, and there was a couple of months of treatment, and it was a difficult time for me, not only because it was physical, demanding and scary, but also because I had most of people who I consider to be my close friends who kind of disappeared from my life at that point, and I felt alone, and I felt miserable about that because these were the people that I thought it was going to be like my friends for life, and they kind of dropped out of my life at a time when I really needed them the most. So that I felt it. I felt that, even though like probably no one could have seen it from the distance, right? But I knew I really felt it, in more ways than one. So what has been a time in your life when you felt hurt from something difficult that happened? This affected you. Maybe no one's seen it, but you felt it inside. The next one I've got is not seen. And that sometimes happens over time. That is the impact which, kind of can grow over time. And maybe the impact isn't always obvious, and maybe it happens over a longer period of time that plays out. But it's very difficult to notice. It's kind of subtle like that, not in a good way, right? Because it affects the way that we are. Sometimes these are the things that we know intellectually, but maybe we haven't been able to kind of connect or explain. For me, it was a story with my father who walked out on my mom and myself when I was a baby, and I think I saw him once or twice, but basically he didn't want to be a part of our life. And I guess I was lucky because I grew up with my mom, who was always there for me. I grew up with my incredible grandparents, and yet at the same time, it affected me. I'm sure it has, right? It affected me probably with maybe trusting people less, maybe being more, more prone to anger. Maybe it's how I was, connecting with other people. Maybe it made me feel, I'm sure it made me feel more insecure and hurt and expecting bad things to happen. So that's not something that I've seen in my life because I never really stopped around and think about it. It's just something that was a part of my life, but I haven't seen the impact of that play out. I haven't really seen those ways that it's affected my worldview. It has affected my relationships, my patterns of behavior, because all of that happens, right? All of that happens kind of behind the scenes. So what might have been the impacts of the trauma that you have experienced in your life? Has it been something that you haven't seen or noticed? Because it's difficult to see, because it's things that happen behind the scenes, how it affects the way that you look at the world, the way that you might be repeatedly being out in the world, not even noticing it, because it's just become ingrained into who you are. Sometimes those are the most difficult things that require sometimes the most attention. So that's not seen. That happens over time. And the fourth big area of impact that trauma can have on us, I feel, is the unfelt. Because sometimes what happens is when we have a difficult experience, when we go into this protective mode. That's the function of us as human beings, that it's our brain, our body, it kind of shuts down and it goes into these automatic modes, in order to protect yourself, to survive. That's why we are survivors, because we survive. And that's vital, right? But the way that it manifests, whether that's through disassociation, whether that manifests through mental illness, whether that's, in my case, for example, it's been, anxiety and panic attacks. It's just been crippling at times of my life when it really flared up. It might be, depression, and I mean all sorts of things that happen to us that because we haven't even been able to feel the pain, because we've been in this protective mode. We kind of been closed off. We kind of shut down, and maybe we experience it on the level of our physiology, but we haven't really experienced it on an emotional level and let it process, for lack of a better word. And that's hard. That's really tough. And we don't just do it consciously, because I'm gonna just feel that, I'm gonna let it all out. That's not how we're built. So I think that's so vital to acknowledge. What might be things that we have not allowed ourselves to feel? I think it's so vital to consider the impact that trauma has had on your life. Because listen, what problems and challenges that might you be able to solve or get around or better cope with if you were better at healing your trauma? What sort of possibilities would you be able to explore? What dreams you might be able to bring to life? What possibilities you would notice, or what goals could you progress towards if you were experience 10% more healing towards yourself? I think there are incredible things that open up for us in learning to be kind to ourselves, in accepting that it's so vital sometimes to try and release that hold that we have on ourselves, on our hurts, on our emotions, allowing ourselves to feel. And with that, I want to share a really simple way of thinking about healing. That's how I think about it. And this is a really simple framework. It's called C3T. And the first point that I think is so vital here is compassion. So often we get so hard on ourselves. We get so down on ourselves. We say disparaging things to ourselves. But sometimes the way that you sometimes treat yourself, you'd never treat another human being in this way. You'd never do that. You'd listen, you'd reassure them, you'd be kind. Like if your friend was upset or in trouble, like you'd probably try to be more understanding and kind and reassuring. How can we do that towards ourselves? I hope that when you look in the mirror, my friend, maybe you say something that is more kind to yourself. Say, you know what? I've been through a lot. I'm doing my best. I deserve more from life. I'm even grateful for where I am. I don't know where I'm going, but I hope I can figure it out. I can try things. I hope you can find more compassion towards yourself because you deserve it, my friend. You deserve to have that compassion towards you. It's so vital. The next thing that I feel is so vital in helping us heal is our own creativity. Because sometimes, I know, by the way, creative can mean so many different things to different people. But I think creative is your way of expressing your worries, your fears, your concerns, things that excite you, things that move you, just enjoying life, whether it's your hobbies, your passions, whether it's something you do in your work, whether it's something you do in your community, whether it's in your family, but allowing yourself to be creative, to be in the place where you feel like you're doing something that speaks to you. When you can be in a place where you're doing something that is fun, that excites you, that lights you up. What is it you can do more of in your life that will allow you to feel like you are being creative on your terms? And I don't care whether other people think it's dumb or waste of time or whatever that is. What does it mean to you? That's what matters. Connectedness. There's the last of big three, the C3. But connectedness, one of the things that has been absolutely transformational in my life was connected with another survivor. Because I never in my life have felt so understood. Because the truth is, so oftentimes we feel so alone because we do keep it within ourselves because we're afraid of speaking out that people are going to judge us. We feel of speaking out for the fear that it might even hurt us if we talk about it more because it's too painful. It's too hard. But having that sense of connectedness with and finding people who've been through similar challenges or just had a difficult life, talking about and sharing your experience with people helps us to connect with others, to find understanding, to have our own story reflected at us. Because when you hear it yourself, spoken out by you get a totally different perspective. When you get that empathy from a person, whether you know them, whether they are your friend or your workmate or a loved one, or whether it's someone you've never even met, that can make a huge change on how you live your life. And that sense of connection to other people, but also to your own story, is so vital. So that's the 3 C's, but the last part in the C3T is therapy. I really believe in the power of therapy as a crucial and vital element that helps us towards healing. And that's not to say that you necessarily had a great touch points with the medical system or the therapy before. I know I haven't. But I believe finding it can make a huge difference in how you live in your life. I know it has that for me. Finding the right therapist, who really gets me, who I can connect with on a personal level, is so crucial because they get you. They are there to support you. You can find the right modality, right approach, because there's so many ways that sometimes we don't even realize. Or sometimes they're hard to try because you don't know if it's going to help you or not. But I hope that this might be a consideration of what is it that might help you in living your life forward. Because the impact the trauma has had on your life and the things that it might have prevented you from doing and might be preventing you right now, that might be so significant and so undocumented for our own experience. Sometimes we don't realize that. I think it can be so helpful to consider how these simple things that I've talked about, being more compassionate and kind towards yourself, how to express yourself and being creative in a way that means something to you, how to stay connected with other people or find those new connections that helps you feel the depth of belonging, not only with other people, but also to your own self and your experience and different parts of you that might have been out of sorts with each other. And finally, therapy. And finding or trying ways that can help you heal and move forward. My friend, my name is Joe Bakhmutsky, and I believe that we all have this power to be happy. Oh yeah, to seek just greater clarity in things that we do, in everything that we do, to show up at your best every single day so that you know, my friend, that you are enough. But also to hold on to hope. No matter how you've been knocked around in life, and maybe the terrible things you have experienced, hold on to hope, my friend, that things can and do change for the better. I'm here for you, my friend. Thank you for being here.